All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Tuesday, May 25th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. I know that we're good to go across the live trading room. Great to see all of our students, Norman, Tina, Lewis, Kathleen, Jill, Leda, Chuck, all of our students all in Cyber Group Trading Room. And for all of us streaming on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, as always, welcome on back. I wish I could say, as always, we're trading AMC because oftentimes it makes a really good move up or down. Not always the case that we, or actually in the sense of us trading it every day. But nonetheless, we ended up seeing this stock open up this morning as shortable. So that was actually the first thing that caught my eye on this trade this morning. It's on the screen now, so I want to talk about it. But we do have class coming up for all of our Phase 3 students and above. We have the Phase 3 stock course live trading with Fausto going into the market close. I'd imagine he'd be following this AMC trade should it not just completely tank right now. But yeah, for the meantime, we'll put AMC on our watch list. You can see I have all my lines still kind of here on my chart. I ended up prepping this stock going into the market open here. And, with that, it was trending down a bit here by 8:30, by 8:15. Well, ended up making a bit of a bounce off 1350, really strong buying level back from yesterday in the run up that we caught yesterday on the AMC trade. So, technically going into the market open, this was trending up. It was trending back up and steadily. So I thought there was a pretty good chance that this would make a continued move up, but to what extent, for how much and for how long, and that's undetermined. We have to react to see what the stock will give us. And right out the gate, this ended up making a carbon copy move to what it did yesterday, a slingshot practically off the opening bell print. The yellow line roughly off of 1358 there, and from there 1368 rather. But from that point, ended up making a big pop, ended up moving all the way up over 1450, teased the breakout over 15. And that was going into the 10:30, 11 o'clock time frame. And oftentimes around that point, we tend to see reversals. Stocks tend to kind of fall off from the trends that they had built across the market open. And that's exactly what happened on AMC. I mean, you just see it ended up kind of weakening on the way up, pulling back a bit. Now, what led to this squeeze back up here, if you've been following this stock and perhaps us, day to day, week to week, then you should take a guess and just say, well, maybe this is moving up with GameStop. You just take a quick look, and obviously now GameStop is screaming on the way up over 16%. So I ended up getting out on this trade before we started the meeting because I didn't really want to be a jerk and waste profits. But I was in from 1468. I wasn't in this trade on the run up. I was really upset with myself for not getting in on this trade when it re-broke above the 1450 here. And it was moving up so well. I know Kathleen was in that trade actually prior to that pop, but ended up getting like 60, 70 cents herself. She got out when it was kind of teasing the 15 break at first, but ended up making this really ugly shake. I ended up getting in right off the bottom here. I mean, not off the bottom, but per se around the bottom. 1468 was my average price. I got out at 1505, assuming a false breakout at first, and then that's what happened. But now this thing is pushing on up beautifully once again. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to put AMC on our watch list. I'm not going to put GameStop as it's not really a day trade. Maybe if you want to do a call on it, on option side. But, just checking in on some of the other, quote unquote Reddit stocks like BB, BlackBerry, not really doing anything. Bed Bath Beyond, not really doing anything either. What else did we have? NOK, Nokia. That was also a big pop and drop. Oh, this is a weekly chart. Pardon me for that. There we go. Well, you could see Nokia, same thing, ended up making the squeeze up and down back at the same time as AMC and GameStop. Oh, that's right. Norman Express, EXPR, good call. I knew one was slipping there from me for a bit. Express was the best one out of all of those that we ended up trading outside of AMC at least. But yeah, Express looking great. I like this. Good call. I was going through. I was like BB, Bed Bath Beyond. I knew there was one. Kathleen again. I mean, one more and it's a hat trick for her, but ended up getting in from 1482. Ended up closing out on her position just now, and I mean, roughly off the top here. So, fantastic catch, Kathleen. Once again, we'll look to see this make the test up towards resistance at 1550. Let's take a quick look here on Bookmap level 4 while I'm at it. Bigger level was off the 15. You could see that there, including a 575,000 share print. That's one transaction on time and sales for over 500,000 shares. So more than that was filled at the level, but just in one transaction, one print on the tape, we ended up seeing a 575,000 share print. And with that, well, we ended up seeing a hell of a big move after, right? So 1550 is our next big level, but I'd even say 16 is bigger in terms of what's on the order book right now. Keep this in mind first, but it wouldn't shock me to see this get closer up to 16 later today. It's moving pretty much parabolically in it right now. All right, so you know what? How about this? I want to go from top to bottom, not only because do we have class, ahead, but this is probably going to freeze my screen here. So before this explodes further, yeah, if that broke over that iceberg at 1550 right there, it would have frozen me up. So that was as good of a time to move on as any. Let's go from top to bottom here. Otherwise, the PIRS trade, you got to be careful, folks. You don't want to trade a stock that's locking you up, freezing up your platform. Thankfully, on the position I took just before I started this meeting, it wasn't locking me up. I also wasn't sharing my screen here across two different platforms, but that actually can screw me up a bit, and I recognize that myself in the moment. I say the same to all of our students, though. You're not sharing your screen, but you might be on a different computer, maybe not as strong, maybe something that might not be able to run as many different programs and all that stuff. But hey, if that's the case and your platform is freezing up on you, last thing you want to do is be in a really volatile position without an ability to manage it. So yeah, I'll probably get back to AMC. It just broke over 1550. I'm looking at from Bookmap right now. PIRS ended up making a nice pop. This one was trending down going into the open, kind of like the AMC, or not so much like AMC really. That was bouncing from 830, but this was trending down going into the open. Caught me by surprise. I thought this would be more of a dump off after the open. I thought it would make a small push up, but then begin to weaken early. It did not. Ended up pushing up beautifully afterwards. It hit an eventual high of the day, roughly off of 265, 270, as you can see here. Ended up re-breaking the high of the day and holding it pretty nicely as support at first. So, ended up making the pop and drop from 3. High of the day is at 304. So it doesn't shock me that off the next major resistance at $3, you get that pop and drop. And with that, I don't know how likely it is now to see PIRS make the squeeze up higher. Trading 254 million shares across the day. Stock carries a 56 million share float. So that's well above its float to begin with. And prior to today, the stock was trading, less than 1 million shares on average. So yeah, exhausted is definitely an understatement for this trade. This BDL, I don't know what's going on here. LEDS, familiar stock, though, ended up making another run up today, as it had back from the last week or two. As you could see back from the beginning of May, ended up making this huge breakout roughly from 4 over 12, and obviously dumped back down. We're not swing trading this. Keep in mind, we're day trading this, getting in, and once the volume dies off, the stock typically follows. So, at least for today, you could see it ended up making that, really sharp squeeze up, got halted on the way up. And afterwards, just the volume totally died off. More people took profits than bought, if anything, but ended up dying back down. You're getting your second wind type of move back up here. So it might be, a little tempting for right now, but for right now, I'll probably just keep it on the side. The LEDS trade. All right, this one was like a knucklehead today. If there's a phrase I can give it, it's like a knucklehead. This stock. First and foremost, it was dropping off going into the open, so I was expecting this to make the pop and drop type of move here, and that's exactly what happens. Ended up making a squeeze after the market opened up. Ended up kind of holding right off 11 here and completely tanked after. That was the exact move I was personally looking for. I wish I could say I got in. This ended up making way too fast of a move for me to set up my order. I was watching it. It made the pop and drop so fast. Just there was no timing on that. So ended up kind of pulling back down a lot more. But even here at this point, for as much as it dropped, you'd like to think there's a chance that this stock can make a bit of a squeeze back up. Bear with me for a quick sec. I'll take all of these lines off. Looks pretty cluttery here just as far as that chart. Yeah, so you would hope for a stock like PRVB that was up, what, it was 50, 60, 70% in pre-market. If it's not going to pop and run, perhaps it'll be a good short, which it was. But hey, once it bottoms out, if this stock isn't really too low float, I'd like to think there's a chance there's, a squeeze back up on this. And it ended up making a choppy squeeze. It took its time and didn't give me as much as I nearly wanted it to. I actually got stopped out before it ended up popping up higher where I thought it could, up towards 1030. For right now, you know what? I don't even mind putting this on the side. Maybe I will put this on the main list by the end of it all, just given that it is still shortable for as much as it ended up squeezing up just now. If it doesn't continue, it does have a decent float, 63. Oh no, it's the outstanding. 47 plus million share float. I would have expected a lot lower, perhaps. So, whereas the PIRS trade, I would expect for that to be exhausted based on the sheer amount of volume that traded across the day. I feel like this might give us a little bit more. I'll see. I'll come back to this at the end. Welcome Tech 2021 here on YouTube. He says NAKD also part of the Reddit stocks. That's right. I forgot about that one also. I appreciate the shout. Let me get to that in just a bit then. I don't see it on the gainer side just yet, but I appreciate that. And I'll take a look at that NAKD trade. I forgot about that. Holy smokes. AMC's on fire right now. AMC just broke back over 1550. It like false broke it at first and just ran right back over that price. Is just an ATM machine right now, that stock. EDU. This one looks like an ATM machine in terms of its steady trend, but it's taking its sweet time. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty choppy move, at least minute by minute. Steady trend off the lows, I should say. But I feel like even on this, you look at level 3 on Bookmap, on level 4, I should say, looking at the orders, it looks relatively algo driven. It seems like kind of tough to tell where the next major resistance level is on this stock. 11 was the big one to watch out for, at least earlier. But although it's at the highs, I'm not too jumpy to put this on our list with that reason there. So maybe I'll come back to this at the end. GameStop's up 20+% now. TIGR, this was a nice push from earlier today as well. Ended up beating earnings, I believe. Ended up making the pop right out the gate. Really caught us off guard with that. I was waiting the first 2 to 3 minutes on that stock at least, and as soon as the market opened up, it took off. So we covered this inside our Traders Talk workshop. Again, for all of us on social media, that's the workshop that we ended up conducting for you folks live last week. If you'd like to, check in on that workshop, join us live week to week. Go down to the link on the banner below just to get started. Sign up for our trial. Nonetheless, on TIGR here, nice pop. Pulled back, ended up making a second win type of move. It is closer to the highs right now. It's still pretty volatile at this time of the day. I mean, trading about 38,000 shares per minute. Decent spread. You have an order on the S to worry about, though, for right now at $20.35, the 35,000 share order. 2035. It's holding it well on the chart, and there you go. So I don't mind actually adding this to the main list here, TIGR. We're familiar with this stock. It's a little bit more volatile compared to some of the others that seem to be a bit more flat. So I'll give this a look, put this on our main list. AHT, ooh, this one, a little slow, but pushing up nicely. It's at the highs on a double top. And again, a stock that we are pretty familiar with. So easily enough, I'll definitely put this on AHT. Mavis, MVIS, not like the company Mavis. I like to say. I actually have to say that. I had a student inside Cyber Group last week, I think. I was talking about, the stock, nicknaming it Mavis. We give some tickers, some nicknames, and I had a student just continue to talk about the company Mavis. It's not Mavis, the company. It's Microvision. Ended up making a big squeeze back at the end of April, dumped back down, as you can see from that point. So, it goes to show, again, we're not swing trading these necessarily. I'm not, at least. Fausto will certainly tell you folks inside Cyber Group if he's, doing a swing trade on one of these stocks. For what it's worth right now, as a day trade, it's making the same type of push as a lot of these others, like AHT, TIGR. Hopefully it becomes an AMC stock. MVIS, I don't mind. ACB pot stock, familiar name here. At least I wanted to jump to that. We'll just jump over to the losers list here in the next few minutes, folks. I got to make sure I finish up on time also. All right, so I want to check out the pot stocks with ACB pushing up here. Let's just check out MJ pot sector ETF. It's doing nothing, so that doesn't really help the cause. Tilray making the same move as MJ, at least. CGC, I'd imagine the same. What's up with ACB? Why is this at the highs of the day right now? Check out Benzinga Pro really fast here. This one's catching my eye. So looks like news came out from 10:46 this morning. Exclusive report from Benzinga Pro. Aurora Cannabis CEO talks 2021 plans, focus on the key markets. It's a whole big report here. I'm not going to go through it, but I guess that's what's out there on ACB. Maybe some good hype on the company with that in mind. It's at the highest stock we are pretty familiar with, and a stock that has made a huge short squeeze for us in the past. So I don't mind putting this on our list for right now, ACB. Don't get AHT, AMC, and ACB all mixed up, because I'll tell you, I probably will. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything on that side of the field looking just as good, if not better. Unfortunately, with the S&P ETF, the SPY, and of course, other markets, what goes up does come back down. Ended up seeing the SPY drop off going into the late morning, trended down going into this meeting. So we'll see where the markets take us, at least. If there's any stocks that look good on the losers list, I'll just check out. VKTX, the lows, it is shortable, just really flat. Bunch of crap hard to borrow, so don't think I'm lazy here, just kind of skimming through and brushing off most of those. But unless if it's down, more than like 40-50%, or unless if it's shortable, I'm probably just going to skip over that, really. Over here, if there's any other stocks that look just as good, if not better, Ride is one I want to focus on here. This Ride stock, just looked at it right away. It's still down 7+%. I mean, ended up taking a huge hit in the after hours yesterday. I don't know what the news was on this. Was it earnings? I think it was earnings. Lordstown Motors, yeah, reported lower than expected Q1 EPS and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, hey, this is making a nice dead cat bounce, a DCB as we would abbreviate. But, yeah, it's at the high still. It's off the 9 level. Lewis just commented last inside Cyber Group. I know he's had his eye on this stock across the whole afternoon off of 9. I have as well. So, yeah, Ride, I don't mind putting on our list here. This one looks pretty good. All right, so from Dan on YouTube asking about Express, we already have that in mind. Definitely a good call. Want to check out Naked from our guy Tech 2021 on YouTube. Ooh, getting the push, also a real cheapie, right? So, I'll factor this in. I'll tag this on with the rest of them. Know your worth on a stock like this compared to some of the others, though. You're not getting like 30-40 cents a pop on this, right? You're getting maybe 3 to 5 cents a pop on this from this point forward. And if you get more, God bless. But even AMC right now, this thing is like shaking right back down after I last commented on this, popping right back over 1550 and flying up. Didn't go much elsewhere, right? Ended up topping off right at 1574. Slice back down under 1550. So got to be careful on these trades now. For as much they ended up running up back at the end of January, we know what happened to those stocks, right? Ended up sharply dumping off after. I mean, actually, none of these days were green. Every one of these days was red. So, for what it's worth, these stocks could dump back down not only within the same day, but rather quickly, mind you. From our friend Mitch Connor on YouTube, probably a little late to this call out myself, but he's asking about the PTIX daily chart. Super ugly daily chart. I don't know if this is a new ticker, new direct listing, or IPO. I probably will care to find out at some point. It's that, I mean, for as much as this ran up, this is kind of like my caution with AMC and the other Reddit stocks, to where it ended up just like pulling back down, volume died off. All right, so from Mitch asking about the PTIX there, which is up, for right now, I guess we'll pass. All right, so folks, you know the deal. If there's anything up, down, left, right, more than 5% right now, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. Space. I was not nearly as interested in this stock today. It was trending down going into the open, but for as much as it popped up yesterday and ended up running on us nicely, it ended up dying off rather quickly going into the after hours, then pre-market, and I just thought it would be a lot choppier of a move. So granted, it is pushing up nicely here. I'm checking on the other side list stocks first. This LEDS is trying to go back up here. It's trying to prove me wrong, but for right now, I'd rather focus on space than this. I'd rather focus on space than the PRVB for right now. Although there is, I feel, a good chance that this could move either way, up or down, pretty nicely, and it is shortable. And EDU is just kind of choppy in terms of what you see on the order book. It almost looks more like a fund than anything, which it isn't. But yeah, you know what, Space, Norman, I'll tag that on. Out of all of those that I put on the side list so far, I feel like Space could be the best of those. So I'll put Space on our main list. Let's see what else we got from Jorge talking about CCIV. Pretty volatile stock, and I mean that in a good way. Good side list stock, and we haven't like really focused on this as much in a little while, right? I mean, probably back since the end of April when it ended up making this big pop and then dumped back down. It's up almost 5%, so you know, getting up towards that 5% rule, I say. But if you do well on this stock day to day, Jorge, or for anyone else at least, then I'd put it on your main list. I feel like there could be a lot of stocks that look like this heading into the afternoon, so just kind of skim through the airlines, cruise lines, other name brand stocks otherwise that we would frequently trade or call out. Hey, not a whole lot here. MOXC, it's at the highs. Just crazy spread on this. This one's been climbing up the gainers list during the meeting. David, that's something I go over specifically in the phase 1 stock course. If you want to message me on the side, I could just talk to you about that. All right. So for right now, folks, for all of us live inside Cyber Group, I'm just going to post and tweet the picks for all of us that have access to the phase 3 course later on, coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern. Just about 9 minutes from right now, actually. Fausto will be trading live going into the close, likely off of this list. And then if there's anything else otherwise that he sees or that you folks see in that class with him, you work together as a team and see what else you can get going into the market close. For all of us in social media, I appreciate you sticking with me every single day. If you're interested in learning more about Cyber Trading University, just go right down to the link on the banner below to get started on a trial membership with us here. All right, so for all of us there, I'll talk to you pretty shortly. Take care.